Welcome back, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, to the super, not funny show, GAMER-CAST. Yes, the GAMER-CAST, where we talk about all the things that are happening in the gaming world. PC gaming, console gaming, portable gaming, all that fun stuff, hardware, software. We love video games around here at the Super Not Funny Show, and we love to talk about them. And joining me, as always, the anime expert, lover of all things superhero, and burgeoning video game designer, and the person that knows the most about video games that I personally know, and that is my friend LADI. LADI, how you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. Actually, just got done working on my video game.
There you go. He's knee deep. He's got his foot all the way up to the ankle in video games. So we'll be interested to hear more about that. And of course, as always, we're going to just dive into some news here on the GAMER-CAST. We're going to spend some time talking about a few topics. In particular, we are going to be talking about the potential Grand Theft Auto remaster, Grand Theft Auto 3 remastered series, possibly coming to the Switch. We're going to talk about the 6600 XT graphics card. Coming to you from AMD. And we're going to ask ourselves, is budget PC gaming dead? Or is this the rise of the console dominance? And lastly, bringing up the rear, we're going to talk about a few of the biggest blunders in gaming history. We got all that coming to you right. We got all that coming to you right now. And I know LADI's got a lot to say about this, so I can't wait to hear what he's got to say. And I got a little bit going on, too. Of course, I am MO your resident fabricant and comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And I'm also a pretty dang casual video game player. And LADI is the hardcore gamer, so we're going to offer you all of those perspectives right now. So, LADI, my man, I know this is your jam right now. I know you are the PC hardware aficionado. You're like the in Greece, the guys that work on their cars and build up the hot rods, right? You're always looking out for new parts. So let's talk about this new part in particular, AMD Radeon RX 6600 XT. And I know you've been following it. So what do you think about it, man? What's going to be a reason for you to purchase or not purchase?
Well, first, I think the appropriate name for this graphics card, the 6600 XT, will be probably, I guess, the false hero, because the rumor when this graphics card was coming out that it was going to be the card that's going to save PC gaming, because it was supposed to be this, rumor, this 1080p beast that was going to come in at a fair price. And one of those things was actually true. It is a 1080p beast, but the price is kind of a hard pill to swallow. With the MSRP coming in at a whopping $380. And some people who are not really into PC gaming or not familiar with this stuff, they might say, "Oh, that doesn't sound too bad for something." That could be a PC that could be about $2,000. But in PC gaming, 1080p has been around for, as you could attest, about 10 years now? We've been gaming on 1080p for about 10 years. At this point, if your PC can't game at 1080p 60, you either throw it away and get a console or upgrade it. Because it's literally at this point, you have to at least be able to play 1080p 60.
I would say, or you just keep on playing retro or lower
retro games.
Your gaming is more relegated towards the towards the older titles, or you play everything on extremely low resolution and frame rate. So that's your choices.
Because it's 1080p. It's something that it's not too difficult to run, but this graphics card was promised to be, because the thing about it is there's not much, but the new graphics cards that have come out, there really has not been a good budget gamer card. The 3060 that everybody was hoping was supposed to be a good card. It was rumored to be at least a 2080 in performance, but it turns out it was just a 2060 Super in performance, which was basically a side grade. It was $330, which we know that MSRP is not real. Most of the cars that were sold were around $400 or more. So you're pretty much buying a 2060 Super all over again, just with 4 gigabytes more of VRAM, which 3060 is just too weak to even use that the amount of VRAM. They should have just kept it with 8, but NVIDIA, I don't know what they were doing. But so let's back to the 6600 XT. So I feel like, watching reviews and reading reviews, I feel like there's a lot of people angry, and they're just mad because of how AMD and the NVIDIA, the AIBs, everybody is pretty much pimped the gaming industry this year. But, I've always had to tell people this, that these graphics cards are not just used for gaming. You know what I mean? I create video games. I use my graphics card to render characters, to create video games, to make videos, all that stuff. Graphic cards are used for more other stuff. And one of the main things that it was used for about a year and a half, about 2 years now, is mining. Mining is one of the big things. And that's what caused a lot of these graphic cards to go up, plus the massive amount of people who want to go into PC gaming, because the stigma of console gaming is considered too weak. And so a lot of these people who are trying to transition from console wanted this graphics card, but it came in at a price that a lot of people didn't like. I understand them. I feel bad for them. They won't be able to get this card. But I know quite a few PC gamers that I feel like are being angry about this price very, very, very just irrationally. Because I was on a couple of forums, and there's a lot of people going like, looks like I'm sticking with my 6600. So they were like, oh, I saw the 6600 XT in my Micro Center for $429, and they're like, oh, that's too expensive. It looks like I'm sticking with my 1660 Super. The reason why that statement is stupid is because you could sell your 66, you could sell a 1660 Super right now for $450. So you could sell your old graphics card right now for $450 and use that money and buy a 6600 XT, a more powerful graphics card, for literally free, and get $30.
Nice.
So I feel like a lot of gamers are being kind of stupid. Like I'm seeing people who have 1080 Ti's. Oh, it looks like I'm sticking with my 1080 Ti. Well, okay, 1080 Ti, I'll give them the pass because 11 gigabytes of VRAM, and it's still good. It's still a pretty good card relative to this day. But if you have like a 2060 Super, 1080 or lower, you could sell your old graphics card and make a good amount of money and basically get the 6600 XT for a cheap price, because they're still in stock in Micro Center. I can literally look this up. I bought my friend a 6600 XT because so she just bought a PC with a 1660 Super in it, right? And I was just like, hey, how about you give me that 1660 Super and I'll buy your 6600 XT. She thought, and we'll just call it even, she thought I was trying to pimp her, because she just could not believe that she could sell her old graphics card right now for more money and buy a 6600 XT. She just couldn't believe it. And I'm like, no, you can look it up. We went on Micro Center and she saw it. 6600 XT. MSRP $380, still in stock. I showed her on Google. 1660 Supers selling out at the minimum of $430 at the minimum, and she couldn't believe it. She just couldn't believe it. So we did it. I got one of my friends who lives in Georgia near the Micro Center. He bought it for me. He's shipping it to me now. And as soon as he gets here, I'm gonna install it into her computer, and I'm gonna take her 1660 Super. Her 1660 Super, sell it on eBay and make my money back.
Right.
Just that easy. But I just feel
that's just it's just crazy. This is crazy.
Yeah.
I feel what you're saying. I think if you are deep into the performance gaming, or this is the difficulty of a casual gamer or someone who just doesn't know. Like, this is why Alienware, exists and whatever. Because all the things you're saying, I understand them, and I could, if I spend time investigating and researching whatever, I could even understand them well enough to make an informed decision. But man, most of us casual gamers are not going to do that. I almost literally, just because I'm used to doing it, when I built my computer, and it's pretty mid-range, when I built it, I literally just looked up, I looked up on a forum I used to go to. I'm like, all right, what's a good, and they pointed me to this, this site where people do builds, and they point out to you and I built it exactly from that. And that's me, as I know what I'm doing, but I'm just not super interested in high performance stuff. So $300, I'm gonna tell you, $300 was $300 whatever, $50. That's half of what I spent on my PC. And so it sounds to me like if such a that's super important to gaming, how much money do you spend on the rest of the PC? Like, what are you aiming for? How much money are you aiming for to make this thing that you're going to inevitably have to upgrade? And I say that as a person that fully expects my mid-range PC to remain relevant for at least another couple years. only because I don't demand too much out of it. So, is this something that someone that's not casual, not a casual gamer, or just not casually interested in PC gaming, this would not be something that they're aiming for, or would this be something they would aim for only because someone else told them that this is something
I feel like
to have?
the 6600 XT is directed to casual. It's supposed to be a casual gamer card because it's considered that low to entry level graphics card. But the problem is the price is so high, which can turn a lot of people away. It's just we're just in a really, really bad, I won't say PC parts are expensive because you can pretty much get because when I hear YouTubers say PC parts at an all-time high, it's just graphics cards. You can get pretty much any PC part for a good price. I mean, I just literally got my friend Leonard a 1 terabyte NVMe drive for $64, and it's a top of the line one. If you know what you're doing and you just take your time to look, you can find non-graphics cards for good prices. It's just the graphic cards are very expensive, and that's where it's an unfortunate situation. My friend was able to come up with it because she knows me, and I just saw an opportunity, just like, hey, you know what? Why not upgrade? Because I would have done it for any of my friends who had a graphics card that's around that price range, that they don't have to spend any money. They just can get just basically a free upgrade, because right now NVIDIA graphics cards are worth more than AMD graphics cards because of two reasons. One, perception. Everybody, casuals in the PC gaming market, thinks NVIDIA cards are just light years better than AMD, which is the furthest from the truth. We have never experienced a graphic card generation where it's literally almost indistinguishable. But honestly, in this generation, I will tell everybody to go with AMD graphics cards, because the AMD graphic cards are more efficient. They have more VRAM, and just those two things right there should tell you. Because remember, the last GamerCast we had, when we were talking about the California
Right.
stuff. Remember, I was telling you that a 3090 can use up about 500 to 600 watts.
Right.
If you're not careful when you're using it, it could literally, like, there was a YouTuber, his name is J2 Cents. He was literally just in the the main title of a game, and he checked the wattage, and it was 600 freaking watts, and he's like, Jesus Christ, it's just sometimes the 3090 sometimes spikes to that much, wattage. It's just a very inefficient card. While the AMD version, the AMD's competitor is a 6900 XT. The most I've ever seen it use is 400 watts. That's the most I've ever seen it use. And it's just, people rather get NVIDIA cards. So that's why it's to the point where you could sell old NVIDIA cards and buy newer AMD cards for literally a better price. Like, if you just wanted, like, let's say, like, for example, I'm going to do this for my brother eventually. My brother has a 2080 Super right now. 2080 Super, he could sell it for $900. The 6800 graphics card is beginning to drop in price to the point that it's going to be less. It's going to be around $1,000 or less. So he can literally sell his 2080 Super and get a way better graphics card for basically free. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's why I don't think a lot of gamers are not seeing this. And I understand it from the casual perspective because it's not something you look up to. But a lot of these videos, most of these people that are commenting on these videos or on these former hardcore gamers, they just want to be mad. And it feels like people are aiming their anger at AMD when really, I'm not going to say it's just NVIDIA's fault, but NVIDIA is the company that proved, because also, I'm going to be honest with you, the number one reason why graphic cards are expensive are not because of the company, it's because of gamers, because gamers are spending ridiculous amount of money for graphics cards right now. I mean, they're spending, when the 3090 first came out, literal YouTubers were telling people, do not buy this stupid card because, bro, the 3080, when it first came out, it was retailing for $700. 3090 is a $1,500 graphics card. So you would think the 3090 is what? Maybe 20-30% more faster than the 3080? It's not. It's literally about 10% faster.
Yeah. For
almost double the price. So they were telling people, do not buy the 3090. But guess what? Everybody kept buying the 3090. So now the video is like, oh, look, shoot. People are spending $1,500 to $2,000 on a graphics card?
That's crazy. That's crazy. That's absolute crazy.
Really crazy. Yeah. You can literally build, you could literally build a PC. Not lying. You can literally build a PC within 10% of a 3090 for the price that you spent on a 3090.
Yeah.
You can literally do that.
Crazy talk. This actually, and I to kind of button up the whole, 6600 XT thing. So it sounds to me like, I guess if you're building right now and you're starting from scratch, go for it. But if you're not, if you're looking to upgrade, maybe go for it if you already have a pretty decent NVIDIA graphics card that is reselling pretty well. But otherwise, maybe if you're looking for something more high end, this isn't for you.
Yeah. Most people I will recommend, if you just want a game, if you're listening to this and you just want a game and you don't want to do anything else on your PC, buy a gaming console. Please.
I was going to say, that's actually was going to be my segue from this, because this review and the next item go hand in hand, which is, as you're saying, is budget PC gaming dead? And is this the rise or the rise of console dominance again? And I like that you put it right again, because we've seen this dance before, and PC gaming is always doing this to itself, chasing the performance and pricing itself out of mainstream gaming. Let me paint a picture for you youngsters out there. Maybe you don't remember this. once upon a time, the dominant first-person shooter on the planet, bar none, was played by way more people than you think, was a PC game. Counter-Strike. Counter-Strike, for a long time, a PC game, was the most played first-person shooter, period. And it still has a pretty good scene now. And this was, like I said, on PC, and the reason why is because PCs had network gaming and consoles didn't. Okay?
Yep.
Then Xbox came along, and then it had internet. And so then people were playing Halo and everything, but the servers and all that it didn't take over because the servers weren't really there. The internet, their internet service wasn't really there or whatever. Next generation. So you go from Xbox 360, and to PlayStation 3. PlayStation gets their shit together with their online service. Xbox continues to improve Xbox Live. Then what's PC gaming doing? They're chasing the fucking, they're chasing performance. Mm-hmm. Sure, they're putting out lots of games that look awesome on PC only, but that's when you start to see the transition to simultaneous console and PC, because consoles were good enough, and you can always, work backwards. You can always shoot for the console and work backwards and put it onto the PC without too much trouble.
Yeah. At one point, the 360/PS3 era, the consoles were more powerful than most gaming PCs out there for a good minute. I want to say the first 2 or 3 years of that generation.
Well,
PS3.
I mean, on average, I suppose on average. But what was really going on is that, PC gaming is more expensive because it goes for higher end parts and everything like that. And so what you had was, originally first-person shooters, if you were any good, you had to be good with a mouse and a keyboard. But now, to be any good with any first-person shooter, you need to be good with a controller. Because ever since the Xbox is really the signal for PCs becoming relegated to just high-performance gaming, and consoles being more mainstream gaming, because more people can afford a $500 console than can afford a $1,000 PC.
Yeah.
So, and a $1,000 PC, if its development kit is good and it has full access to the hardware, that's another thing some people don't really think about when it comes to the gaming consoles versus PCs. PC gaming has to run on top of an operating system and already takes up resources. Whereas console gaming, there are operating systems,
straight to the metal,
but they give straight access to the hardware. And ever since the dawn of console gaming, period, having direct access to the console hardware, I mean straight access, not through anything else, has given
program to the middle.
Yeah, it gives programmers a lot more flexibility and more resources than you think. And there are a lot of really smart programmers who can learn. They've done a lot of tricks and hacks and stuff like that to eke a little more performance out of the console. And ever since that day, we've had the time where that happened, and then the console started chasing performance. And so they're in a PC game. They're in PC gaming, arena. And PC gaming is always going to win at performance gaming. But what we're saying now, and I think Nintendo is part of it, is good enough gaming. Hardware that's good enough. It's good enough to make games that look good and play well. And so, I think the Xbox One and the PS4 were good examples of this. At the start, they were really actually comparable to a gaming PC. But of course, over the years, they're going to not be as good. But that's fine because they're good enough.
Yeah, it was like, I want to say like around when the PlayStation dropped the PlayStation Pro, because the PS4 was selling like gangbusters. Then it just kind of stopped, because around that time, 2016, we all know what came out. One of the greatest gaming PC era of all time, when NVIDIA dropped Pascal and AMD dropped Polaris. You could get a 1060 for what was it, $200 or was it like $150? It was very, very cheap, and it was way more powerful than what the PS4 and the Xbox One was doing, and it was very cheap. So a lot of people started switching to PC around that time. And then the next year, NVIDIA dropped the greatest graphics card of all time. It was the 1080 Ti. Only $700, and the 1080 Ti is about to be 5 years old, and it can still play any game you want to at 1080p, 144 hertz, ultra, 1440p, 100 FPS. It is the greatest graphic card of all time, and it came out almost 5 years ago. But now, the graphic cards that are coming out now is, like you said, started chasing performance. People wanted more. So then NVIDIA came out with Turing, and AMD didn't have an answer for Turing. So the 20 series, very expensive graphics card, but people bought it up, and NVIDIA was like, okay, I have a plan. And they purposely came out with the 3080. There's a reason why the 3080 came out first. The reason why NVIDIA dropped the 3080 first, because they wanted to show, hey, look, we created this graphics card that is way more powerful than the 3080 Ti, and it's $700. NVIDIA purposely, and there is actual evidence that they did this. They purposely did not fill up the stock of 3080s because they wanted people to buy the graphics card, go on forums and brag about the 3080, and then here's what it's going to cost. Envy in the PC gaming community. So then when the 3080 comes back in stock at a higher price, they're going to buy it up. Then they're going to go start bragging. Then when the 3080 comes back in price at an even higher price, going to start bragging. Till it becomes a runaway effect that people don't even care. They don't. There's a lot of people. I'm telling you, if you ask a PC gamer right now, what was the MSRP of the 3080? They would not know that it was $700. They'll promise you that it was a $1,000 to $1,200 graphics card. They would not believe that it came out at $700, and that thing came out less than a year ago. It came out in late September of last year at $700, and people do not know that's the MSRP of that card. You see what NVIDIA cost, and AMD's like, hey, if you could do it, we can do it. And it's causing a runaway effect. And this is where I've tried to tell people, because a lot of people, because of the whole stigma of consoles, they really think there are people that swear that the PS5 and the Xbox Series X are as powerful as a 1060 or a 1070. And I'm just saying to myself, what in the world makes you think that? I mean, guys, look up Demon Souls. Demon Souls is a PS5 exclusive, and I'm telling you, there is no game on PC, even if you put a 3090 in it, that looks as good as Demon Souls running at 60 FPS. Demon Souls is the best looking game out there. There's no game that looks better than Demon Souls. And then Ratchet and Clank came out. And this is another thing. What you just said about programming to the metal. One of the main things that NVIDIA wants to talk about with their graphics card is what? Ray tracing. But let's just be honest. Ray tracing looks like shit. It looks like shit. It makes everything look like you just throw a big tub of hot Vaseline onto the game. They make the streets look oily. They make your skin look like you just come out of the tanning. Not tanning booth. It looks like you just came from getting a massage. It just looks weird. It just looks weird. And what it causes is a massive dip in frame rate, to where there's some games that the 3090 can't even play at 1440p 60, when you put on ray tracing. But guess what? There are two games that are considered the best implementation of ray tracing, and guess who makes the game? Sony. Spider-Man Miles Morales and Ratchet and Clank. You could play those games at 1440p 60 with ray tracing on. And it's a console game.
And you know, this kind of brings to mind, to me, the answer to the, you know, is the rise of console dom. Yes, it is. Yes. Because everything you're saying to me is telling me why the hell would I have a gaming PC? I have a gaming PC. Why the hell would I have a gaming PC? If I can get, again, good enough, or even sometimes, you know, best in class at the moment at least, performance out of a console that cost me $500.
Yeah.
You know, it's $500. I can play online. Hell, if both of the consoles, in fact, I believe even the Switch sort of, if you're a part of their, you know, their online, you know, whatever, if you have an online account with them that you pay for every year, you even get free games and shit. You know?
Yeah.
That's so if you get into the new console generation, if you get a PlayStation, it's pretty well.
They give you 20 games for free.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, both of the newer consoles are backwards compatible in some way or another. So it's not even like you're throwing away your old library like it used to happen when you got a new console. You have to keep you have to keep your old one plugged in too. You know, so there's a lot of good reasons to be on a console, and a lot of good reasons to not be on PC. Not the least of which, I'm not just talking about price. I'm talking about availability. Because yes, I know there's availability problem with PlayStation 5. I get that. And if you really want one right now, you can pay $1,000 to get one. But for the most part, if you really want to get a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X, you just need to be like, you know, you have to do like you do with consoles in the past. Make sure you're refreshing your shit on time, paying attention to when they come out, and maybe you can order one.
Actually, I have a very spicy take on the PS5 and Xbox Series X.
What's that?
If you want a PS5 and Xbox Series X, you can get one. I do not feel bad for you that you can't get one. Because literally, I literally know this. My brother used to work at GameStop, and I know people at GameStop. GameStop has a reward membership. Like if you just, that $15 for a year, that membership, if you're part of that membership and you want to, they will let you know that PS5s are available, and only you can go and buy it.
Right.
Only reward members can buy it. And I know this for a fact because I know two people personally who did it and got a PS5 the day that it came out, easily. And so I don't feel bad for anybody who can't get a PS5. If you want a PS5, you can get one. The thing about it is, you know what people want to do? They just want to walk into the store and get a PS5, which is not going to happen because what we just said, what's going on? Budget PC gaming is dead. It is dead. So what's that? There are millions of budget PC gamers that want a PS5 along with you. If you can finally understand that in your head, the people who are listening to this, who wants a PS5, please understand this. You are not the only one who wants it. There are other people in this world that wants it too. So what do you have to do? You have to go get it. And they're going to say, oh, you don't understand. What people don't know is I woke my butt up the day that the PS5 was available for pre-order. I literally woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning, left my house at 6 and went to the GameStop in the mall and waited in line until they opened. And I was the 8th person in line, and they only had 10 PS5s. Literally, a riot almost broke out. So don't come up here and try to say you don't know what it's like. I know what it's like. I experienced it. But if you want something, you will go out there and get it. There are ways to get it. People I've helped people get PS5s. There are bots out there that's going to help you with stock drops, all that stuff. If you want it, you can go and get it. But the thing about it is, a lot of people just They want to get it easily, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, but I don't blame them. I mean, look, most people who are into video games, yeah, there's a lot of hardcore. There's a lot of like somewhat, well engaged. There's a lot of me's out there too. That where I have a PlayStation 4, and it's fine for me right now. Like,
Yeah.
like I mean, it's like I think if you're a casual gamer, this is a good time to be a console gamer because the PS4 still exists and there's stuff still comes out for it. The Xbox, I don't know about the Xbox One so much, but stuff still comes out for them while they're transitioning between the two generations, and it's still going to be useful and playable for some time. So, but if you want new games and all that other stuff, why are you wasting your damn? I'm being serious. I like my PC. Why are you wasting your time? Dealing with a computer. Get a PlayStation. Get an Xbox.
Yeah, just real talk.
Stop bothering with that. The only reason there's only one good. I think there's only a few good reasons to to try to do a gaming PC, and one is just you're trying to get your nerd cred, by building your own PC. Respect for that. Cool, go do that. Two, maybe you're trying to level up from being a casual gamer into like a more serious gamer. And three, maybe you're trying to stream or whatever like that. And you don't want.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you don't want. You're not so interested in doing all that stuff through your
See,
console.
if you want to do any form of content creation, you want to make videos, you want to stream, you want to make video games, you do anime, any type of content creation, I completely understand why you want to build a PC. But I promise you, the people who do content creation already built a PC for this. So they're not hurting right now. I promise you. Anybody who is really into content creation, like making games, streaming, all that stuff, they got a PC built for that already. They've got it.
And at that point, if you really are trying, like, depending on your level of interest and how serious you want to be about it, I mean, you got to bite the bullet and just go ahead and invest in that. Or because if you're doing it for content creation, you don't necessarily need gaming PC specs for video rendering and all that. I mean, it's nice, but maybe you can go with something that's off the shelf and then plug in like a really nice graphics card or something like that. It's some of that's not really necessary, but if you really want a game on PC, in my opinion, because of the nature of PC gaming, you may as well spend $2,000. And I mean, if you got, the reason why I say that is this. Because at least it'll last you for 4 or 5 years. If you're going to $2,000.
See, the thing about it is, okay, I'm gonna say this: if you want to get into PC and get into it entry level, the entry level pre-built PCs are actually coming in at a really good price. I've gotten some of my friends really good prices on entry level PCs around $850. Comes with a 1660 Super or a 2060, you know what I mean, or a 1660 Ti, you know what I mean. You can pretty much play 1080p, 80 to 100 FPS in a lot of games. That's pretty good for coming into. So that's not a bad price. But like you said, if you want to go into hardcore gaming and you are dead set on playing PC, you have to understand that the minimum that you have to spend, and it makes sense, is $1,500, at least $1,500. Yep. That's the very least. If you're not willing to do that, buy a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. Yeah, because even if you buy a PS5 and Xbox Series X scalped, you can get it on eBay right now for $700.
Yeah. And with an understanding, like that's the way it always is with PC, because PC parts, some things don't change too much, like storage. Yeah, they got NVMe's and all that other, SSDs and all that. I get that. They don't change that drastically. Most of the things on a PC don't change too drastically, and that's one of the things that you have to understand about PC gaming is you start off. Most of your parts are going to be pretty standard, and they'll last you. Maybe not the NVMe so much because of the nature of the part, But any of your, external, your hard drive storage, non-SSD storage will be pretty samey. If you get the best RAM you can, it'll probably last you a while. All that stuff. But it's the graphics card that's really going to fuck you over. Because
the graphics card.
So if you better buy one that'll last you 4 years. And that's the thing. Is you have to, people are like, why get a console? Because, yes, it stays the same. And toward the end of it, it's not going to be as awesome as PC gaming. But you literally buy it one time. You buy that one thing, unless, of course, you use it so much you wear the thing out. But you buy it one time for $500, and there you go. And you keep it for however many years you're going to keep it. Versus a PC, you're going to build it out, and it's going to be awesome in the first year, and in 4 years, you're going to be like, God, 3 or 4 years. If you aren't already ready to upgrade, you're going to feel like you need to. So it's definitely expensive.
See, I'm going to defend the console gaming towards, like you said, towards the end of the generation. To me, this PS5 and Xbox Series X generation is the greatest leap in performance that we've ever seen in console gaming. Like, honestly, real talk. The PS5 and the Xbox Series X are $500 box that are on par with $1,500 PCs.
Right.
Like, no joke. It is no joke. Like, the PS5 and Xbox Series X graphical fidelity, like its power, is considered between a 2080 and a 6700 XT, which is extremely good. That is very good. Like, if you have a 2080 or 6700 XT in your PC, you're considered high-end gaming. So for a $500 box to be in between those, so that means it's more powerful than a 2080 and around the power and less than power of a 6700 XT. That is really good. Like, so I really believe this is what's happening. So, like AMD, how you're just seeing how the stack goes. There's the 6900 XT, there's the 6800 XT, 6800, the 6700 XT, then it goes straight to the 6600 XT. Everybody's wondering what happened to the 6700 non-XT version. I'm gonna tell you what happened to it. It's in the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. Mm-hmm. That's what they are. They are the PS5 and Xbox Series X are 6700s. They are able to play games at around 4K, 60 FPS. They can play games at 1440p/1080p, 120 FPS. The problem is that's what I have to tell people, because people say, oh, well, it's 120 FPS. I want to do a little bit more. Problem is with console gaming, it is a little annoying. It's not the console's fault. It's the developer's fault. For some reason, they lock the frame rate in the game on consoles, which I can understand to a point. Sometimes it doesn't make any sense. Like certain games, it doesn't make sense for you to lock the frame rate, because some people say, well, there's some frame rate dips. If you lock the frame rate, you're still going to get frame rate dips. So it doesn't make sense that you will lock the frame rate at 120 FPS when the game can get a constant 160 FPS. You know what I mean? For some reason, when it comes to console gaming, they do not want it to go over 120 FPS. I don't know why. When it can. Like one of Gamers Nexus, he measured the PS5 to be able to hit 220 FPS in Call of Duty at 1080p. But for some reason, they're like, no, we're going to keep it at 120. I don't know why. That's how they feel they should do it. But if you have a PS5 and Xbox Series X, you will be completely happy with what you got. The only reason why I have a PC with a 6800 XT in it is because I do content creation. Whenever I render a character in Character Creator, that thing uses up almost 10 gigabytes of VRAM. There's no way I can use a regular graphics card to do that stuff. You know what I mean? There's just no possible way, because some people say, well, why do you get into this stuff? Because like I said, I want to join the gaming. I want to become a game designer. And this is the software that they use. They use Unity. They use when I took job interviews, and they were shocked to know that I have Character Creator, because Character Creator is considered one of the premier character development software. Like, they run it on their PCs, and because things could happen where I might, let's say I work at a gaming company. I mean, technically we're not out of the pandemic yet. I mean, look what's happening. What if I have to work from home? I have a PC that can handle it. So that's what the main reason why I spent that money, to get a PC that can handle my needs. But like I said, if you're not in content creation, please get the new consoles, especially the next generation of consoles. Because I'm telling you right now, I know it's really early into this console gen, so you probably don't really want to hear what's happening next gen, the PS6 and the Xbox, whatever they want to call it, the Xbox 1080, whatever, I don't know. But what I'm hearing is that it's about to be ridiculously powerful. Because, I mean, so the graphics cards that are coming out next gen, the 7900 XT is supposed to be 2 times more powerful than the 6900 XT. And that's the middle of that's coming out late 2022, early 2023. That's going to be 3 years into the PS5's life, right? So middle of the PS5 life. Usually when the new consoles come out, they put in the software, the hardware that is coming out that year. So by 2026, those consoles are going to be so powerful that you literally will not need a PC, in my opinion. I almost want to say PC gaming is dead until NVIDIA and AMD realize that everybody's going to PlayStation. Because really most people are going to go to PlayStation, because what's the point of being on Xbox? Because, Xbox doesn't make, I won't say they don't make games. Their games take forever to come out, and most people like the PlayStation experience. Well, let's just say everybody's going to go to console. You know what I mean?
Yep. I mean, I could see it. My only thing is, there's the whole PC, in the house and whatever. It's nice to have and everything like that, but a lot of people are on their phones anyway. So, we're used to having consoles. I mean, I could see it. I really think that the budget PC gaming is just it's not where it's at unless you, like I said, you really just want to play old shit. But the budget PCs 5 years from now will be able to play the AAA games of the day. So there's always that. Someone's always a cheap ass like me, who's who's aiming for dead in the middle, or maybe a little bit above entry level, and hasn't played games that came out 5 years ago. So there's always that. I think Steam is really kind of showing that people are still there's plenty of life left in old ass games.
Oh yeah.
So there is that.
I'm playing Dead Space. Dead Space came out when I was 16. Still playing it.
Yeah. And they remaster shit all the time, and re-release, and etc. So I think we can say budget PC gaming is dead as far as new games are concerned. But I think there's always going to be a place for a PC that's good enough to play stuff from 5 to 10 years ago.
Let's just be honest. Fallout Vegas came out in 2010, and it's one of the top selling games on Steam because the modder community on Fallout Vegas is so great. If you have a 1060, you could go back and play Fallout Vegas and have fun. Another game that's a really good example. It's old, but it's still being given to this day is Minecraft. You can play Minecraft for old hardware. Don't play with RTX though. You might blow your PC up if you did Minecraft RTX. Jesus Christ, you need a very powerful graphic card to do that. But if you just want to just play just simple Minecraft, I mean, there's J2 Cents. All these people, they have videos of showing how 1060s you can still play. There's a lot of people who play Apex. You can play Apex 1080p, 100 FPS with a 1060. You know what I mean? You can play so many games with good fidelity. I mean, at 1080p, good frame rates with a 1060. You don't have to get these really powerful graphics cards unless you want to play next gen games. Now, if you want to play like the game that I'm really excited for is Dark Myth Wukong. Do not play that with your 1060. You might literally destroy that graphics card. You might blow it up.
Yeah. So, well, I think that's a good roundup of that subject. So, final verdict: go buy a PlayStation or Xbox.
Yes.
Do yourself a favor. Save yourself some frustration.
Yes.
We love you, PC gaming, but seriously.
Yeah.
Moving on to a somewhat smaller story, but one that's near and dear to my heart, and I'm sure that many other gamers, over the past 20 years. I saw, this was a week ago, and there's a rumor that there may be a remaster of the GTA 3 series on the way, possibly for the Switch, the Nintendo Switch. So I have thought. You know what? As the casual gamer, I think I'll tackle this first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Let's do more and more. Aside from Borderlands, the Grand Theft Auto 3 series I've probably purchased that multiple times. Like I own it on Steam. I had it on PlayStation. I had it on it. Well, actually, I had one copy on PlayStation 2, but I never played because my PlayStation 2 was broke. But I had a copy of San Andreas and Vice City on the original Xbox, and I also have bought them twice. Back in my bad old video game pirating days, I had a copy of every single one of them that I downloaded. So let's just say I have a long love affair with the GTA 3 series that kind of fell off at GTA 4, but still. So the very idea that someone's like, you know what, would you like to play these again on a modern console? Maybe even if it's the Switch, I'm like, hell yeah, give me more of that times 10, because I think that the GTA 3 series were one of the biggest feathers in the cap of Sony. Because for a while it was the only thing, they were the only ones that had it. Yep. And getting Rockstar to port it to the Xbox is one of the smartest things Microsoft ever did with their Xbox. And getting it ported to PC was just a great thing all around for gamers. Like Rockstar, they're the smartest motherfuckers on the planet, but they're like, why don't we just give it to everybody, And,
yep.
and then on the PC side, when they did that, people were modding it and doing all sorts of crazy things with it. And now, I think because GTA 3 was so popular, and then Vice City was a masterpiece, and then San Andreas was a masterpiece. That's why we have GTA 5 now that does what it does, because in part, I think the modding community on the GTA 3 series kind of showed what a really open world GTA might look like.
Yep.
And so, all the way around, I will open my wallet for this. I don't care if it's on. That'll give me a reason to play my damn Switch, I guess.
Well, lucky for you, it's coming out on everything.
Oh, sweet. Then I'll get it on. I already own it on PC. Like, I literally have it on Steam right now.
They might give it to you for free.
I mean, it would be great if they remaster it.
But Steam might give it to you for free because I bought what's that game? Saints Row 3. I bought the original Saints Row 3 like a week before Saints Row 3 Remaster came out. And then Saints Row 3 Remaster came out. I was like, oh, crap. I already bought Saints Row 3, the regular version. Now I log on to Steam, and Steam's like, oh, hey, by the way, here's a free version of Saints Row 3 Remaster. I was like, what? They were like, yeah, because you bought the original version. Just return it, and we'll give you the remaster version. I was like,
I think they did that with the Borderlands, because Borderlands got remastered not too long ago too. So like, I'm not really one for playing a lot of old games over again, but I love the GTA 3 series. So this is welcome news. I can't wait to give Rockstar more of my money to play a game that I've already played many times before. They're turning into the Nintendo of adult gaming.
But honestly, I won't even really call it, because this is because there's a lot of young whippersnappers that need to play this game. They don't I really think that a lot of me and you grew up in the golden era of video gaming. I try to tell a lot of people in the early 20s, early 20s, or late teens, that you guys do not understand how good video games were when I was a kid. When you were a kid, like I tell people all the time, Need for Speed Most Wanted is known as one of the greatest racing games of all time. And you know what its rating was when I was a kid? It got an 8.5 as a rating. If that game came out, if Need for Speed never came out in 06, and that Need for Speed came out today with just better graphics, today's graphics, gameplay was still the same, but the graphics were of today, that game will be a 10 out of 10. Guarantee it'll be a 10 out of 10. That's how good games were back when we were younger. For you to get, back when we were kids, an 8 was considered a great game. And 10s were not given out very often. They would not give a game a 10 because they're like, it doesn't consider perfect. But now they give games 10s that you're just like, it was all right at best. You know what I mean? They're giving games good ratings that are not very good. It was Vice City. I'm telling you, those games are just the original Grand Theft Autos are just, they're masterpieces, like you said. They're, Grand Theft Auto 1, 2, 3, Vice City, freaking San Andreas. San Andreas, to me, in my opinion, is the greatest Grand Theft Auto of all time. You know what I mean? That game lasted so long, man. The game got banned. Then there was so much uproar by PC gamers that the government got scared. Not PC gamers, gamers in general, that the government got scared and brought the game back. Games were that good. God, I really want gaming companies to realize that people want to play their old games again. And I really don't think they understand it. They really cannot believe that, wow, really people will pay us to play old games again? Yes!
Have they not seen Nintendo give the barest, and I mean the barest, effort to basically port up an emulated version of their old shit, and people just flock to play it.
Mario 3D All Stars. I don't understand it. PlayStation does it sometimes with their games. For example, they brought back Jack and Daxter trilogy to the PS4. I bought it immediately because I love Jack and Daxter. But for some reason, they don't want to do it with the Ratchet and Clank games. They don't want to do it with the Sly Cooper games. They don't want to do it with their PS3. You just wonder why they don't, why. And it's the same thing. Microsoft does the same thing too. There's certain games that they just go I don't think people like it.
Well, I think I get it. If people are fine with just playing an emulated, ported version of it, and paying $10 for it for a game that's 20 years old, that's easy money. That's this what they're doing. What they seem to be doing with this is that they're actually doing something that they're making all the. It looks like, maybe, I hope, the character models are going to be higher resolution,
Yeah.
More polygon. They don't look like fucking blocks.
Oh yeah,
Shit. And if that's what they're doing, that costs money. It costs money to have people go back in and redesign and do all that and get all of the textures on point. Make sure the clipping is not so terrible or whatever. Like GTA was great, but there's a lot of clipping going.
Yeah, I agree.
And but also the draw horizon, the draw distance wasn't.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of pop in. So these are things that have been fixed, in GTA 4 and 5, and other games have fixed it, pop in and all that other stuff. So it would be nice. It's going to be great. Really, to me, it's going to be great seeing, Vice City the way it should be.
Yeah.
It'll be nice to see, an older version of Los Santos and San Andreas, the state of San Andreas. And it'll be nice to see Liberty City, with just a lot of greater graphical fidelity. But, we all want the old, it's going to be weird. To me, it's going to be weird because I've not played Grand Theft Auto 5. I haven't played that. So how much is the control of 5 going to influence, if at all, the control of the old? How is that going to work?
They said they're going to keep it. They said they're going to keep it true to the PS2 era. They said they're not going to, because that's the thing about that's one of the things that my 100% feel and need when you remaster a game. Make it play exactly like how I remember. I literally should be able to pick up the game without going to tutorial. If you remaster a game and I have to relearn the controls, you failed, because you're supposed to make the people who played the game, you're supposed to bring that game to the way we saw it back then. Because the way we viewed that game back then, it looked like an amazing graphical game. So now you have to bring that to us now in today's graphical age. If you cannot do that, you failed in your game design. One of the greatest game remasters of all, in my opinion, was Medieval Remastered. It came out in 2019. The reason why I say it's one of the greatest, because literally I picked up the game and I haven't played Medieval since I was a kid. I literally knew how to play the game as soon as I picked it up because it played exactly. I'm talking about the timing. Everything was exactly like the old game. This jump animation, the way his jump felt, it felt like it. That's one of my biggest things that I didn't like about the Crash Bandicoot remake. Remake/remaster, it didn't feel like the original Crash Bandicoot. It looked like it had the same controls, but it didn't feel like it. It felt like Crash was slower in the newer game than he was in the old. He felt heavier, and I thought I was when I remember I was first playing it, I thought I was the only one. I thought I was tripping. I told my brother about it. He said, yeah, I felt that too. And I looked it up on the internet. There's a lot of people who played the original Crash Bandicoot 3 Crash Bandicoot games, and they said, yeah, the game doesn't feel like the old Crash Bandicoot. Through updates, they eventually made it start feeling like the old games. But when it first came out, a lot of people who originally played the original 3 didn't like it. And that's the thing that I feel like if they're going to remake this game, it should not play like GTA 5. I don't. Right. This game is not like this game is meant to. This game is meant to put you back. It's supposed to send you back in time. It is not meant. This game, when you remaster a game, you're not bringing an old game into the future. You're bringing modern gamers back in time. That's what a remaster is made for. There's a lot of people who get it right. Medieval Remaster, they got it right. What is that game called? Shadow of Colossus Remaster. They got it right. You know what I mean? There's a lot of games that get it right. And this is one of the things that I feel like if you were a masterpiece, I feel like you should have a remaster. There's some games that shouldn't have a remaster because it will lose the charm of the game. Like my opinion, Mario 64 should never be remastered because if you remaster Mario 64, it will lose the charm of the game. But a game that, for the love of God, needs to be remastered is Sonic Adventure 1. Please remaster Sonic Adventure 1. Sega, I'm telling you, if you're listening to this, I will pay so much fucking money for that game. Please remaster Sonic Adventure. They keep canceling it. I do not know why Sega, especially now that Sonic is in such a mess, why do they think remastering Sonic Adventure is a bad idea? Like, who is in charge of Sega? They need to be slapped in the face because why do you feel that Sonic Adventure Remaster is not a good idea? Do you not want to make billions of dollars? There are people begging them to do it, and they just say, nope, well, here's another Sonic game.
They got to keep trying, man.
Eventually, they'll do it.
So yeah, I think both of us we're I'm gonna set some on the side. I'll get this. I don't know which console. I guess it's gonna be PlayStation because reasons. So, all right.
That doesn't feel right unless it's on play, especially the old games. Playing them, no.
Yeah, I'm not gonna play it on Switch. Why would I?
That sounds sacrilegious.
All right. So okay. So that's exciting news, and I'm looking forward to it. So we'll see. We'll keep you guys up to date on that one when and if that comes true. So final, I guess our final subject to talk about today. Let's cut to the chase. The biggest blunders in gaming history. Noting again that I'm a casual, so my understanding of these things are not as in depth, but I do remember some things. So, you don't mind if I start off?
Oh yeah, you go first.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I'm gonna go old school. One of the great. This one is possibly the greatest blunder, but we don't know. But it's one of the absolute worst because it is credited with nearly tanking console video gaming. Period. I speak, of course, and they've made a documentary about this. Even I speak, of course, about the release, the gigantic and horrible release of E.T. the video game for the Atari. Back, oh god, what year was that? It was in the early 80s, early to mid 80s.
Yeah.
So bad, a game that now mind you, at the time, games were by and large programmed by one person. And this one was apparently a rush job to tie into the E.T. movie. It was trash. An absolute trash game. I don't know if you've ever tried to play this game. I've tried to play this game.
I played it.
It's fucking unplayable. I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. It is. I mean, I'm sure someone had the patience to try to fucking beat it. I have none. It's an awful game. And they made a ton of these damn things thinking it was going to sell like hotcakes because the Atari, they were selling a shit ton of games. Let's not beat around the bush. But this game was so trash that it destroyed the Atari as a console maker, and it nearly destroyed the console video game industry.
Yeah.
And
they buried those games out in the desert.
Yeah, it's just look it up.
It's terrible.
Just look it up.
It's worse than Superman 64. That says a lot.
Yeah, no, it's a trash. It is an absolute trash game, and I hate it. I hate that I ever spent time on it. I loved E.T. and I thought it was going to be awesome, but it was terrible. So fuck that game. Anyway, that's my first one. So, what about you, Lottie?
So I'm gonna start off like you, going up with my opinion, the biggest blunder in video game history. A lot of people don't know this because they're probably either like too young to remember this, or they just never looked into it or seen anything about it because it's very rarely talked about because Nintendo does not want you to know. There's a lot of people that say Sony and Microsoft hate each other. No, Sony does not hate Microsoft. Sony hates Nintendo with a burning passion. If Sony could, they would literally bury Nintendo. And the reason why I say this is that Sony was owned by Nintendo. A lot of people don't know this. Nintendo owned Sony. And they were going to make before the before the N64 slash they were supposed to make Sony made a console for Nintendo. Because before they helped them make all their games, like Mario, all the Super Mario games were helped and made by Sony people. So when Sony was like, hey, so you know how gaming, eventually the company, your number one support staff slash developer, they feel like they've proven themselves. They should be able to come up to you and say, hey, here's an idea. So Sony came up to Nintendo and showed off the Nintendo PlayStation. If you do not believe me, you can literally look this up right now and you will see it. It was the Nintendo PlayStation. It was supposed to be you know how Sony are tech geniuses. This was supposed to come out all the way back in 1994. It was going to be a PlayStation all the way back in 1994. And Nintendo was like, oh, well, that's cool. We'll see what we'll do. And they pretty much didn't go with it, and they went with Philips, which, if you don't know, it failed terribly. Like I'm talking about, absolutely terribly. But at the time, Nintendo felt that Philips was the way to go. They didn't trust Sony, and basically just Sony spent all this millions of dollars designing this console, and it went to waste. And Sony just went up to Nintendo and was like, hey, we're leaving. And basically Nintendo laughed at Sony and Nintendo was like, let's see how you'll be able to handle the gaming world. Fast forward to today, Nintendo is beating the ever-living piss out of Nintendo sense. And this, to me, the biggest blunder in gaming history. Can you imagine where Nintendo will be at if they didn't do that? Can you imagine Nintendo owning Sony?
I don't know that they'd have been able to properly utilize. It's probably good that happened because
it's good for us.
Well, there's two philosophies that are at work with PlayStation and Nintendo, with Sony and Nintendo as far as their consoles are concerned. And I think there's room. We've realized now that there's room for both, but we did not know that.
Yeah.
All the way, back in the day, everyone was like, Nintendo's idiots. They're going the way they're going, so forth. And you can argue that as much as you want, but I mean, they've got their own way of doing things that isn't necessarily the PlayStation way. So, and I think it's good that there's competition, that they're both around. Now, I'm sure that they probably wish, but I like to look at it as, if they had stayed with Nintendo, you wouldn't have the PlayStation as it exists now. So it's probably for the better. But yes, on their part, not a good move.
Yeah, definitely one of the biggest blunders.
Yeah. Now, my second one is I think this is one that's near and dear to your heart, and that is this one. This is definitely a horrible move on the part of the console manufacturer. And that was Sega's failure to secure the Dreamcast against piracy.
Yeah.
Absolutely one of the dumbest fucking moves in gaming history, because it turned it was a revolutionary, competitive console that to this day, we've sung its praises. It turned it from a potential rival for PlayStation, PlayStation 2, and turned it instead into basically a sinking rock around it, an anchor around the neck of Sega, as they hemorrhaged money while people bought their consoles that they sold at a loss. They bought them by the droves and proceeded to go online and download all their fucking games. A complete and utter failure because it screwed their third party and third party game maker. It screwed their first parties. It screwed them because they are paying you to pirate their games. Yep. And fuck them for destroying one of the most beautiful game consoles
of all time.
With one of the most revolutionary online, right? And it had one of the best controllers. So, damn it, Sega! I loved you guys, and I loved the Dreamcast, and you guys screwed the fucking bitch. So,
yeah, man. Let's have a moment of silence for the Dreamcast.
It was
that was a tough pill to swallow. I mean, hey, I was a kid, definitely pirating games. As a kid.
That's what I'm saying. Think about it. I'm thinking like you were like, yeah, this is great because you were young and you didn't realize like you just like stabbed the Dreamcast in the back while you're like, yeah, this is awesome. Why did it go away? Because you didn't buy it. That's why. And you see why the Nintendo's their aversion to selling at a loss makes a lot of sense. Because if Sega had made a profit off of a console, it would have been okay. But that's not the way the console business works. So yeah. So that's my number 2. So what's your second one?
So my second one is for both sides. It's for both sides. How Nintendo and Microsoft has handled Rareware. Rareware is basically, it's almost like a dirty prostitute at this point, because the way Nintendo and Microsoft is pimped Rareware and the way they treat them is literally like that beaten down woman or beaten down dude that comes home to a miserable wife or husband that just yells at them, cusses at them. They're sweet human beings. They work hard. They do everything they're supposed to do, but they're never treated right because the both companies who own them basically pimped them. And I feel so sorry for them. And the reason I talked about this is because Nintendo basically worked Rareware to the freaking bone in the N64 era. Like think about this, Reese. How many games were made by Rareware during the N64 era? Almost basically all of them. All their greatest games on the N64, besides Super Mario 64, was literally made by Rareware.
Yeah, I mean, one of my favorite games of all time. And many people will say this about the N64, but I know GoldenEye is by far my favorite N64. Well, yeah, no, it's my second favorite behind Mario 64. But I put more hours into that game than I ever put into any other game on that console. Possibly any other console since.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Rareware pretty much made almost every game, from that to Donkey Kong, Diddy Kong Racing, Conker's Fur Day, Banjo-Kazooie. I could just go down the list. What's that game called? Midnight? No, not Midnight. Eternal Darkness. I forgot what it's called. No, the woman that was supposed to be like a different version of Samus. I forgot her name. I forgot the name of the game.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure.
Perfect Dark.
Yeah. Oh, Perfect Dark. Okay.
Yeah. They made so many games. And when they finally decided, hey, Nintendo, is there a raise? No. Nintendo literally looked at them and said, no. And they were like, really? Look, I pretty much made your N64. Well, no. And they left and went to Microsoft, and Nintendo had to go through a lot of legal problems. Like there's a reason why a good amount in the GameCube era we didn't see Donkey Kong in a couple of games because there was a bunch of legal issues between Rare and Nintendo, because Rare made the Donkey Kong that we know now, not the old Donkey Kong. You know what I mean? So there was a big legal battle between that, and now Microsoft gives Rare, and then proceeds to just treat them literally like a redheaded stepchild / prostitute, and does nothing. They literally give them the worst projects to work on. It makes Rare look so terribly. Yeah, like come on now. Rare has Banjo-Kazooie. Why hasn't Microsoft made an actual Banjo-Kazooie game yet? No, they're like, we don't care. That we know there's millions of people, because finally when the one thing that Microsoft did right was the what was that thing called? They ported all the old N64 Rare games that Nintendo did not want to renew the license to the Xbox, and people bought Perfect Dark, Banjo-Kazooie Conquer's Further. They bought these games in droves. You will think Microsoft, with their mind, will say, maybe we should remaster these games or make a sequel. No, Hey, Rare, work on this game that nobody wants to play. Hey, Rare, makes this game that nobody wants. Hey, Rare, let's give this game, port this game to Xbox for us. It's literally like, imagine if Sony treated Naughty Dog like a porting company. That is what Microsoft is doing, and Microsoft has done this to a lot of their gaming companies. You already know how they let one of the greatest game developers of all time leave with Bungie. You know what I mean? How same thing they did with Epic Games. Microsoft, for some reason, they see talent and they say, you're too good. I'm going to give you crappy work to do. And we're going to give crappy companies. We're going to give your child to the crappiest companies to work on, and they're going to destroy it, and we don't give a damn.
Nice. Yeah, I'm glad they're still around, but things have changed a lot in the last 20, 25 years. So maybe they're just not the same. They're not ever going to be the same as they were before.
No, they never will be.
And it's as it should be. New places rise up and all that other stuff. But you still have the old games for them. So, but let's shake our fist mightily at Nintendo and Microsoft. It's
because this would have all just never would have happened if Nintendo just paid.
Yeah.
Just pay, man.
They're
probably being cheap.
They're probably also the reason why I don't have a remaster of GoldenEye. They put out some trash ass GoldenEye thing for Wii that's not that good, and I really just want the original.
Okay, I have what is it? A good contender for biggest blunders. Nintendo not giving us games from their other IPs. Where is a new F-Zero, Nintendo?
Well, oh my God, we could spend
it's just a quick. It's just Legend of Zelda. Well, not Legend of Zelda, Star Fox, all that. Just crap.
Well, but this is also part of the whole Nintendo. When y'all gonna make original shit? That's what people say, and then people are also like, can I have the 25th Mario game? Can I have the so I'm like, I'm not sure that people actually
Pokemon ABC.
Yeah, I'm pretty okay with that, but everyone's just like, can I have a game that's been published, another version of a game that's been published since the late 80s or the early 90s?
Yep.
And if that's what Nintendo people want, then fine, but I'm not really sure if that's I'm not really sure if I believe people when they say they want new IP and stop retreading stuff. I think what they mean is stop retreading stuff that I don't like. But do retread the things that I do like. And the console manufacturers are like, or the software creators are like, I don't always know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
they're not kind of entirely sure about it. So, all right. Well, those are in our minds the worst blunders of the video game, and same console heavy too. So,
Yeah,
but I understand why though, because the console manufacturer. I mean, we could get into all sort of shit about EA and their loot box crap, but we won't.
God.
We won't today. We're not going to do that today. We've said a few things. And we'll come back to that at another time. So.
You just poured like a gallon of salt on my head when you said that.
we will come back to that at another time. So, well, I think that's all for the Supercast for today. Well, I'm sure there's a ton of other things that we didn't touch on today, and maybe it's burning up in the back of your head and just want to let us know. So if you do, get down to the comment section, hit us up, let us know what you're thinking about. Of course, you can always contact us at supernotfunnyshow@gmail.com or at supernotfunnys1 on Twitter for the Super Not Funny Show. And of course, maybe you want to talk directly to the resident video game designer. So if you do, why don't we ask Lottie to tell you how to contact them on social media?
Yeah, you can always contact me on my Instagram. It's Anu Kinihun. It is ANUKINIHUN. Again, it's ANUKINIHUN. And just posted a video up there recently. So I'm back on my game creation grind. I took a little break from it, but I'm back on it. So you're gonna start seeing more videos up there. Of course, you can also see my YouTube videos of more detailed videos of my game, and also gameplay of different games that I play. And that is Kinihun25. Really easy to find me on there. Drop a subscribe or follow me. I always put up content. I always try to be, engaging on social media. Yeah,
you guys go over there, show some love to Lottie, hit them up with some views and some likes and subscribes, all that fun stuff. And while you're in that mood, if you're not a member of the Super Not Funny Show family, what are you doing right? Get down there and hit that subscribe button. Join us on this road where we talk about movies and video games and all the other pop culture stuff. And of course, you can also hit the notification bell to let you know when we drop new content. We're doing that every week. We do podcasts and reviews and all that fun stuff. As I keep saying, the back half of this year is jam-packed with all sorts of nerd stuff coming out in the pop culture space. So just keep checking back. We're going to keep doing all of this fun stuff over here. All right, all you Fabricans and Fleshbags, thanks once again for joining us for the GameR-CAST this week. Come back next week. We're going to be talking about even more great things going on with video games. So I want to thank the resident video game designer, anime expert, and lover of all things superhero, my good friend Lottie. I have been Mo de Boutte, your resident fabricant and comment extraordinaire on all things pop culture. And we'll see you guys on the other side of the thread. Peace.
Peace.